You literally cannot make this stuff up. There are now multiple manhunts going on at the same time after HMP Wandsworth have released multiple people accidentally. It was shocking enough when we heard the news around 1 o'clock today that another migrant who is a sex offender was accidentally released from HMP Wandsworth. This, of course, comes after Hadush Kebatu, the Ethiopian migrant who sexually assaulted a 14-year-old in Epping, ended up on the loose recently. But we've now had the news just in that HMP Wandsworth have accidentally let out another guy, a fraudster as well. He didn't even stay behind bars for long because they accidentally let him out on the day that he was sentenced. This is beyond belief. What on earth is going on in our prison service, and what on earth is going on in HMP Wandsworth? First of all, before we look at the details, let's remind ourselves what happened with David Lammy at PMQs today. He was filling in at PMQs. First of all, he forgot to wear a poppy, and then he was asked 5 times whether he knows if any other migrants have been let out of prison by accident since Hadush Kebatu. He refused to answer the question, and then during PMQs, whilst everyone is still sat there, we find out that the news that there is another migrant who's been let out of prison on the loose, and we find out that he knew about it 1 day before. He knew about this yesterday, and he refused to answer the question at PMQ. So let's take a listen to him being questioned.
Can he reassure the House that since Kebatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? It's a clear question. Can he give an answer?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Get a grip, man. I know I'm the Justice Secretary. That's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. We know that. I'm not going to pray in aid. Dame Anne Owens is a former Deputy Commissioner in London, head of the NCA. It is for her to get to the bottom of that work. Of course, we know that there have been spikes since 2021 under his watch. When did he come to this House and apologise?
So notice the lack of Poppy there. He's in trouble for that. I mean, what a day. And then we found out this news that an Algerian migrant who was supposed to be deported but ended up overstaying, who was behind bars for trespassing but has previously been convicted of indecent exposure, was let out. And David Lammy knew that the whole way through PMQs. He knew it yesterday, but he chose not to tell us. And then everyone's phones start buzzing in the chamber because the news comes out. How embarrassing. People are calling for him to resign. People are saying that he misled the House. But then the day develops. The news just never stops, folks, because we find out that there's actually another guy from Wandsworth Prison who has been let out. Let's look at the details in the GB News article. Police have launched 2 major manhunts after an Algerian sex offender and a convicted fraudster were accidentally released from HMP Wandsworth. Brahim Kador Sharif, 24, made headlines earlier today when he was mistakenly freed from HMP Wandsworth. Now, the other guy, Kador Sharif, no, sorry, that's the same guy. They just took off his first name. Kador Sharif is now, he's an illegal migrant, as I said, overstaying his visa. But now we have found out, we've had another statement come out from the police saying that a convicted fraudster has also accidentally been released. So the first guy, the migrant, was accidentally released on the 29th of October, and they only just realised yesterday, so he's been walking around the place for a week. God knows where he is now. And the second guy, he was let out on Monday. In fact, he was sentenced on Monday and appeared on Zoom to the court on Monday. And then on the same day, they somehow accidentally thought it was time to let the guy go. I mean, did they not listen to what the court said when he was sentenced? Did the court, they mishear what the court said, and they thought that the judge in the court said that actually he's free to go and he's not guilty anymore? I mean, what on earth is going on? How can you get it this wrong? The convicted fraudster, identified by Surrey police as a 35-year-old William Smith, was mistakenly released on November 3rd, that is Monday, just 5 days after Kador Sharif, the Algerian sex offender. Smith, who also goes by the nickname Billy, was mistakenly released after he was handed a 45-month prison sentence. He's meant to be serving a 45-month sentence. He must be a pretty bad fraudster. But they just let him out. They let him out. The 35-year-old was also sentenced for multiple fraud offences at Croydon Crown Court on Monday, appearing via video link from HMP. Wandsworth. Smith was last seen wearing, you guys don't need to know unless you're actually out looking for him. But of course, this comes after we found out that 260 inmates have been wrongly released in 12 months. So how often is this happening? Maybe this is actually not that shocking and it happens all the time, but this is only in the news now because of the Hadush Kebatu famous case being so prominent in the news. People were pretty upset about that. Now, of course, this Algerian guy, he is also an illegal migrant. We are now finding out who has sex offences to his name, or at least for indecent exposure, which is pretty disgusting enough as it is. How many people who shouldn't have been in this country are in the country, have committed crimes, and then are supposed to be locked behind the bars, and they're allowed to just walk out. They don't even have to escape. They don't even have to escape and do something magical. Like, do you remember Daniel Khalif? Wandsworth Prison, also, he is the sort of terrorist who escaped from Wandsworth Prison. He had to plan his way out. He had to be sneaky. And he had to escape on the bottom of a food truck. But these other guys, they let them out. They opened the door for them and said, off you go. Out and into the world. Unbelievable. And then also Wandsworth Prison, you guys might remember, there was the whole scandal with this prison officer who was having sex with inmates. She's now been put in prison. What an absolute, excuse my French, but shit show that it is in our prisons in general, but at Wandsworth Prison. So that is the latest. I mean, just look at this. 3 different guys, 3 different manhunts. Of course, Hadush Kebatu's manhunt already been and done, but now we've got 2 different manhunts going on simultaneously because HMP Wandsworth are just, they've got plonkers running the show, clearly. And now there are dangerous men out on our streets who should not be. Brits are going to be infuriated by this. It's funny and it's infuriating all at the same time. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. That is the latest. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any more news updates from us.